Can anyone really duplicate the vision Steve Jobs brought to Apple, to computing, to communications and media? No, of course not. And that's what Bob Rice told us back in August when Jobs resigned as CEO. Bob is back with us this morning. He's managing general partner at Tangent Capital. And Bob, one of the reasons that nobody can duplicate Steve Jobs, beyond the fact that everyone is unique, is that he became a cultural icon in addition to a technologist and a developer and an innovator.
Absolutely. And I was very fortunate because I saw him at some of the early Macworlds when he would come on stage and make these dramatic presentations. And he had a flair. He was a stage magician. The way he would build the tension through the presentation and suddenly just completely wow the audience. And it was cool, very cool in those days, especially because the audience at those things tended to be technologists. You know, they were hardcore techies, and he would blow their minds, and they would stand up and cheer and shout. It was like when I was a kid, I used to go to these tent revivals in the South, and it was precisely like that.
Is it one of the reasons, do you think, maybe that people don't feel an attachment to companies like Google and even Facebook, possibly, the way they feel to Apple, because they can't identify with Larry Page or with Mark Zuckerberg the same way they can with Steve Jobs because, you know, the way that they aren't great communicators. They can be kind of clunky and awkward on stage.
Right, and they don't have that sense, you know, as you've said many times in the last several hours. He lived at the intersection of art and technology. And the art was extremely important to him. You know, there are stories that he used to actually try to get people to make the inside of the computers attractive and by matching up the wires to the company logo. You know, things that were just kind of almost crazy, but that was the kind of attention to detail. But the artistic presentation of the look at the object you have here on your desk.
I've got a Mac laptop sitting in front of me.
It's absolutely a beautiful piece of design. But the combination of that design and this great technology power and the slow buildup on stage made these people absolutely love him. And you couldn't wait for the next Macworld. You just couldn't wait. There's no corporate event in this country
Even
like
if
that.
you knew what was coming, you wanted to see how it was delivered.
Had to.
Here's a question for you, Bob. Is there anyone out there that you know of who could stand at that intersection of media, communications, technology, and design the way that Jobs did to assume his mantle in that regard?
Really, I think what you said at the top was correct. I mean, I'd like to say yes, but the reality is the guy is beyond special. And I think that over the years, I think over the decades, people will look back, and this may sound like a crazy comparison to you, but in a way, I seriously believe that he is a historical figure in a way that like a Leonardo da Vinci was a historical figure, because he had these massive talents in parallel universes that he was the only guy who could really bring them together, art and technology. And I think people are going to look back and say he really is in that category because his influence on human behavior, on our lives, he changed history, period.
It's a great comparison. Leonardo da Vinci, I heard somebody else yesterday comparing him to Ben Franklin. It's the same kind of thing.
If Ben Franklin were artistic, it would have been right.
All right. Bob, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That is Bob Rice, the managing partner at Tangent Capital, a technology investor.